Now let me introduce to you a man who does not need a teleprompter to tell you what he believes in. Congressman from Indiana, Mike Pence.
Thank you, Congressman Scalise, for that wonderful introduction and your wonderful remarks. It's great to be back in New Orleans. My last time here was almost 1 year to the day after that heartbreaking day in 2005. Not that one. I'm talking about Katrina, men and women. I walked the streets, I saw the recovery, and I have to tell you, it is so inspiring for me to see that because of the resilience of these people and the generosity of the American people, New Orleans is coming all the way back. Now, Steve knows we Hoosiers like a lot of things that come out of this city. Cajun food, Mardi Gras, Peyton Manning. I mean, other than the outcome of the most recent Super Bowl, there's nothing we don't like about New Orleans. All right. See you next year. You know, I really am honored and frankly humbled to address the largest ever gathering of the Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Thank you for making that a reality. Thank you for being here. To be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to addressing crowds really this size. And I was running late to a meeting in Rushville, Indiana the other day. I was about 20 minutes late. I came running up the steps of the auditorium, and a fellow who organized it was standing there nervously at the door, and I looked down in the auditorium. There were about 5 people sitting on the front row waiting for me, and I looked at him and I said, "You see, there's just 5 people in there for my speech." And he said, yes, sir, I seen that." And I said, "Well, I mean, didn't you tell him I was the speaker?" And he said, "No, sir, but I'm going to find out who did." So, thanks for coming anyway. You know, Steve told you a little bit about me, but all you really need to know about Mike Pence is that I'm the father of 3 teenagers, hence the white hair, that I've been married 25 years this summer to a proud graduate of Butler University, and my favorite introduction is simply this: I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican, in that order. What a difference a year makes. Following our election losses in 2006 and 2008, you know, most Republicans were still pretty sure about our principles, but we were a little uncertain about the future, weren't we? I mean, a year ago, it seemed like only a remnant of the people in this country were unbowed by the glamour and the appeal of the new American left. We were under this unconquerable juggernaut of one-party liberal government in Washington, D.C. I mean, Barack Obama had a 120% approval rating, according to MSNBC. No, seriously, though. Seriously, his approval rating was over 65% in all 57 states. Unprecedented Democrat majorities in both houses, and unchallenged liberal dominance in the media, our courts, our public schools, our universities. It's extraordinary. It was a force that frankly seemed indomitable to everybody but you. I mean, look at what we've done. Historic elections for Republicans in Virginia, in New Jersey, and the state formerly known as Massachusetts has a Republican member of the United States Senate. Look at what you've done. I mean, as we say south of Highway 40 where I come from, who'da thunk it? And you know what? Your enthusiasm for freedom and limited government's been contagious. It's been catching on. Even Republicans in Congress are returning to their commitment of fiscal discipline and reform. Sure. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. 3 years ago, Republicans in Congress didn't just lose their majority, they lost their way. When I opposed No Child Left Behind, when I opposed the Medicare prescription drug bill, when I opposed the Wall Street bailout, I knew that if we kept acting like big government liberals, the American people were eventually going to go with the professionals. And that's just what they did. Truth is, our party walked away from the principles that minted our national governing majority, and the American people walked away from us. But after a year that saw every single House Republican vote against that failed stimulus bill, every single House Republican vote against that budget-busting budget, and every single House Republican vote against that government takeover of health care, let me tell you, here in the South, Republicans are back in the fight, and they're back in the fight on the right. Especially where it comes to Obamacare. Now, I know Democrats think that's over. They passed their bill and it's time to move on. Well, let me be clear about one thing. Democrats may have had their way on the third Sunday in March, but the American people are going to have their say on the first Tuesday in November. And I pledge to you this, House Republicans will not rest until we have repealed that government takeover of health care, lock, stock, and barrel. I know the President doesn't think we can. On his first stop for the Obamacare World Tour 010, the President actually said to advocates of repeal, go for it. Well, Mr. President, count on it. We can repeal and replace Obamacare with law that will lower the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government, by allowing Americans to purchase health insurance across state lines. We can repeal and replace Obamacare with real malpractice reform, ending the scourge of junk lawsuits and defensive medicine once and for all. Now, to those who say it'll be too hard to repeal and replace Obamacare, I say really it's a two-step process. We repealed the Pelosi Congress in 2010, and we replaced the Obama administration in 2012.